and welcome to the Certificate in Basic Animal Care Science. Well, today it's all about fish. I'm here with Sue Kelly, who's the tutor at SIT for vet nursing. Tell us a wee bit about the background of fish, Sue.
Well, fish have been around for 28 million years apparently, and they're in our oceans, they're in our dams, and we also keep them as pets now.
We do indeed.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you keep them as pets?
We have a few, yeah, that's right. Some tropical fish, which we'll go in and have a look at.
Oh, great. Tell me, what makes a fish a fish?
Well, the scientists have come up, the scientists that study fish have come up with a definition, and it's great. You can't go wrong. A fish is something with fins, you can see that. It has gills, which is portrayed over there, as well as they're cold-blooded. So, I mean, if you put that definition to any fish, you can look at a shark. Does it have fins? We know the jaws fin coming through. Does it have gills? Yes, and it is cold-blooded, so yes, it's a fish. But if you look at dolphins, do dolphins have fins? No, they're mammals, which is warm-blooded, and they don't have gills, so they're not a fish. So that's the easiest way to say what is a fish.
Oh, great. I'll try to remember that. So why do they have their gills?
Well, the gills over here are used for breathing. So what happens is as the fish swims through the water, it gets the oxygen out of the water. There's a lot of blood vessels underneath the gills, and that's how they get the oxygen instead of like us breathing. And you can drown fish. So what happens when you drown them is, if you've seen Finding Nemo and the little girl and they're all scared about, being shaken up by her, what happens is when the gills go, when the water comes this way, because as fish swim, the water goes over the gills, but as it comes in, they actually drown.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, so fish can drown.
Oh, gee, you'd never think of fish drowning, would you?
No, that's right.
Okay, and what about the fins then?
Well,
What's their major purpose?
Yeah, the major purpose of fins is basically to allow them to move. 80% of the fish's body is pure muscle, which is what we know when we go fishing. We eat nice fillets of them. And the fins help propel them through the water, as well as allow them to change direction very quickly. So it keeps them in the direction they want to go. Yeah. The other thing about fish is, can you see this little mouth over here? And I don't know if you've ever seen a fish chew.
I don't know if I have. I've seen them sort of making that gapy, wanting air.
Exactly,
look.
they don't chew. Even fish with teeth don't chew. They basically break off the meat and swallow it whole. The feeders, which we call the herbivores, which eat plant material, they actually have teeth in their throat, which grind up, like our teeth grind up our food, but it's in the pharynx, we call it.
Oh, right.
So that's quite different to other animals.
Oh, isn't it?
Yeah.
And can you tell me a bit about the function of the tail?
That's direction, as well as some of the tails are used for, especially in males, for fighting.
Oh, right.
And yeah, so that's swishing of the tail. You'll see inside we've got a Siamese fighting fish, and he's got a massive fins and tails, and they used to be used for fighting.
What a name, Siamese fighting
fish.
I wouldn't mind going and checking out this fish.
Cool, well,
should we do that?
Yeah, let's go.
I see. So which one was it we were talking about?
Well, this is the Siamese fighting fish. This one over here, you can see his beautiful long fins and long tail.
Oh.
And when he gets going, he puffs up and flees his fins out.
Does
a real show off. Yeah.
And how did the other fish in the tank feel about him?
They're actually okay. He's with, these little orange ones are apparently sharks, but no relation to the great white. But they're quite compatible with the Siamese fighting fish, and he moves a bit slower than the others. So if you put him with any other type of fish, apparently they eat his fins and basically bully him until he gets very sick.
Sounds like a bit of a hard time being a fish.
It does, doesn't it?
And what about, say, their eyesight? How well do fish see?
Well, fish can see colour, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
And in the ocean, blue is a colour that they can see to quite deep. And if you notice, a lot of our tropical fish are normally shades of red. And the reason for that is for protection, because the deeper they go into the large expanses of water, the harder they are to see.
Oh, right.
So they see quite well.
So they can hide from bigger fish?
Yeah, from predators.
Right.
And like these little catfish over here, which are these little ones down here, these guys are what we call bottom feeders. And you can see their eyes are perched quite sort of towards the top of their head. And the reason being is because they're low, they can keep an eye out for any predators swimming above. And then these guys over here, or mid and top swimmers, their eyes are basically in the centre of their head, so they have a good view of all round.
Isn't it interesting?
Yeah, that's right.
Different things that can happen to fish.
Yeah. The other thing which you can see how they can swim and float at different levels. And what they have in there is a thing called a swim bladder. And it's basically like a sack filled with gas.
Oh, right.
And depending on, like these guys here will have a lot of nitrogen in the swim bladder because it's a slow releasing gas. These guys over here, if you were to test, would have more oxygen because oxygen is faster released. So it gives them more buoyancy as they go up and down.
Gee. It's really clear, isn't it?
And one thing which you probably have been told already, or you might know, is that they don't like vibrations. If you've been fishing with your dad or with someone and they say don't go into the water, don't throw stones in the water because of the vibrations. And most fish have a lateral line, we call it, and it's along the side of their body. And it's basically made with specialised little hairs on their body, similar to the hairs in our ears.
Oh, really?
And what that does is it picks up, it's sort of, they call it touch by distance. So they feel the vibrations and they know if there's like a big predator coming, or predators know if there's a big shoal of fish coming. So it just gives them that extra sense.
How interesting. And what about the memory of a fish? Is it true that they only remember things for 2 minutes?
Well, goldfish apparently is only 3 seconds.
Really?
So yeah, it is. They've got
bored.
tiny brains.
Right.
And it depends on the size of the fish again as to their memory, you know. So like with these fish though, you still have to have, in this aquarium, you still have to have things of interest for them.
Yeah.
And plants would be good. You can see we don't have any plants. We had to throw ours out, but plants are always good for them to hide and eat from as well.
So having fish at home, what have you learnt? You must have picked up a few definite do's and don'ts along the way.
Definitely, yes, yeah, definitely. Now the first thing that I've learnt is that where to place your fish tank, because each house is different.
Right.
And what I've noticed is they don't like extremes of temperature. So if you've got goldfish, for example, you shouldn't be putting them in a draft because goldfish don't have a thermometer in their tank. So the water is just room temperature. So yeah, what can happen is if you're in a draft, it chills the water and they get sick, and then also they can die from that. The other thing is don't put them on anything that makes noise like speakers or on pianos, because the vibrations stress them out. The little lateral line picks it up and they get all upset about that. And the other thing is not in direct sunlight.
Right.
Because algae grows really quickly.
Oh, okay.
With direct sunlight. Have you heard of sharks detecting a drop of blood in large distances?
Yeah.
They have something, if you have a look at their nostrils, each fish has a nostril, but it's not really
tip.
Yeah, just on the tip there. And underneath, well, just behind the nostril, is a thing called an olfactory rosette. And sharks have a very big one, and they can basically pick up minute particles of chemicals in, like, it's 1 part to a billion they can pick up scents of.
Really?
So most fish have a good sense of smell, but the sharks have the most developed.
Yeah. So much to take in, isn't it?
It is, there's so much.
So much. I don't know much about fish, but it's been really interesting. I know a bit more after today anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks for that, Sue.
No problem. Thank you.
I'm with Carolyn here at East Road Pets. How are you, Carolyn?
Good, thanks. Yourself, Mel?
Good. All I can see is tanks galore. Where do you start with fish equipment?
Well, basically you come in, you need to sort of evaluate, do I want goldfish or tropical fish? What am I wanting to keep? How many am I wanting to keep? And have I got a big space or a little space? And go from there as to what is appropriate for your sort of situation. So far as like things that you're going to need, some people just start with a small basic bowl, other people go into a really nice sort of aquarium, something a bit bigger, more of a showpiece in the lounge, which is a lot more fun. A lot of people tend to think the bigger you go, the more work it is. It really comes down to setting up your aquarium properly from the start with good lights, filters and good general maintenance, and there's not really a lot of work involved if you've got good equipment and good advice when you start from a professional.
I've always wondered, when fish get to a certain size, do you have to move them up a tank?
Oh, the more space you can give any animal, the better it is, because some species are going to get huge, others are going to sort of stay small. So you need to look at that also when you are purchasing an aquarium. Okay, this is the species I really like. How big is he or she going to get? This big. There's no sense having a tank that's not going to accommodate a fish that size. So a lot of people unfortunately do make the mistake of going too small and then have to upgrade. Other people go big straight off and don't have to upgrade for the fish. Also, you need to ask questions at the start whether some fish are compatible with others, because others may eat them for breakfast because they're going to be so big, or they're species that need different water temperatures or maybe pH or different conditions than another species. They're all fish, but just like you and I, we have different daily requirements.
So how do you monitor the temperature in the tanks? Is there like a wee temperature gauge in there?
Yeah, you have a heater thermostat if you're going into tropical or tropical marine fish, which is a device sort of a bit like this one here, which is a submergible contraption that you put into your aquarium. It's a heater thermostat. So you set it at the desired temperature, and you got your element here that heats the water up to that temperature, and then you use a thermometer to check that it's sitting at the desired temperature of usually around 25 degrees for most species of tropical fish. That's 25 in Celsius. Some people still work in Fahrenheit, so you have to be covert in both, which can be confusing. And you just use your thermometer to check that your heater thermostat's operating properly. Also, it's critical to have a thermometer when you're doing water changes. Too many people change their aquarium and do their maintenance, which the fish need, but they put too cold of water back in. By the old finger test, it's about right for temperature, and then they can cause diseases or illnesses to start with their fish. So a thermometer is important, even if it's just goldfish, to make sure that you're not stressing the fish or causing illnesses by being too kind and putting them back in cold but clean water.
Right.
Yes.
So what do you do with your fish when you clean out the tank? Where do you put them?
Well, the thing is, if you've got a reasonable size aquarium, I mean, you may need to catch them with a net and put them into a small container or a bucket or something when you're doing a complete change. But generally, on the whole, a lot of people can kill their fish with kindness. They either overstock the tank by having too many fish in there, they kill them with kindness of excess feed and pollute the water with the bacteria from the excess food, or they over-clean the aquarium. Now, I know that sounds really ridiculous, but I mean, you can clean too much of the water out of the tank, and that slime, you know, if you've ever had fish where you've been out and Dad's caught a trout with you, whatever, and that fish is all slimy on the outside, it's kind of gross and you can't hold on to them. But that's actually part of the fish's immune system. And if you're putting them into clean water all the time too frequently, you strip a lot of that away, actually making them vulnerable to a lot of illnesses or bacteria. So instead of changing the whole tank every time you do a water change, causing work for yourself, what you do is you use quality equipment such as a gravel vacuum cleaner, which actually siphons the gunk and debris from the bottom of the aquarium where the dirty water is. And you leave the fish in and you move carefully around the fish and ornaments and you get all the dirty water out. You only really need to, if you've got good filters and good lights, clean about a third of your aquarium water once a month. Some people break that down into smaller changes, sort of once a week or once a fortnight, but you don't need to clean the whole tank every time you do a water change.
Right, so you think roughly about once a month?
Well, once a fortnight, once a month, depending on how big your aquarium is and how many fish and the species of fish, because some species of fish, they can be messier than others and discrete a lot of body waste. So you need to find a balance according to what species you're keeping. Yeah.
So much to take in for fish, isn't there?
There is a little bit more than just getting a bowl and taking them home and slapping them in the bowl.
It seems like it. What about lighting for the fish tanks?
Lighting is important, especially if you're wanting to keep a variety of different fish and you're wanting to have aquarium plants and you want to have nice natural growth. It helps intensify the intense colours of the fish and keep the fish in good condition. But remember, a light is important, but don't excessively do it, otherwise you're going to be in there scrubbing all the time because of the algae.
Right.
So it's to find a balance.
And can I ask, you know when people say don't tap on a tank, because is that true?
Oh, definitely.
Right.
Do you like thunder? If you like me, you hate it. It's like, oh, same effect for a fish.
Right.
Look with your eyes, not your hands. Yeah,
Right.
it's really scary.
That's interesting. Can we get in and actually have a look at some of these fish?
Yeah, why not?
Let's
Come
do
on,
that.
we'll get hands in and we'll do some cleaning and see
Okay.
some fish.
all going here, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is, Mel. I mean, there's all sorts of different fish, all the stripy and spotty and all the different colours, yeah.
They're tiny, aren't they?
Some of them are tiny, but like I said earlier, it is important to ask for advice as to whether some of the species will live together or not. Some species are schooling fish, so they are safer and feel more secure in numbers. Others, you can only have one of that species in an aquarium. And some are going to stay small and others are going to get huge. They're going to be a nice feature fish. So you do need to sort of ask questions to weigh up your odds as to what you can or can't keep. And the important thing is not to overstock your tank. You can't put too many fish in. Fish do their tulip business in a tank. If you overdo it with numbers, it's deadly. Plus also, if you don't keep up with regular water changes and maintenance, the two are bad together, and that is one of the most common killers of tropical fish, goldfish, or most aquatic pets, and followed behind by overfeeding, generous feeding.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that? Is that because it turns to bacteria you were saying before?
Yeah, because I mean cats and dogs, if you feed them too much, they either waft it down or they walk away from it. You put food in an aquarium with a fish or a turtle or any other sort of aquatic pet, they can't get away from it. It stays there, it goes mushy and it makes bacteria, making the fish ill and using all the oxygen source within the aquarium.
Oh, very good. So what sort of fish are these wee ones here?
Oh, we've got a mixture of different community species of fish in here. We've got some of our common species, our wee spotty guys, our danios, a nice wee male Siamese fighter, and the wee stripy ones that you like, clown loaches. And the other thing with a tropical aquarium is it's like a forest. There's layers, or a bit like in Shrek, there's layers like your onions, but you have fish that swim on the top. There's some that are classed as mid-swimmers, and then we have what we call our scavengers, which are catfishes, loaches and bottom dwellers that feed and forage off the bottom and will also forage on a bit of algae. So you need to find a balance so that you've got movement on all layers of your aquarium.
So you had to keep that into account if you've got a few different breeds in a tank?
You do, yeah, so that you're not overstocking one area of the tank, because you don't want everybody living on the bottom and no one at the top. It's going to be pretty boring to look in there, but also there's not going to be enough food for everybody to go around, and they're going to be more aggressive towards each other.
Right. Look at these ones. There seems to be a lot living in the bottom down here.
Oh yeah, the mollies, these guys will follow your finger everywhere. They always think that there's food. And before you asked me a really interesting question, do they have babies or do they have eggs? Each species of fish is different. Some fish are what we call egg layers. They lay thousands of eggs and go through the mating process like that. And then lots of these guys, they're mollies, they're what we refer to as live bearers. They actually give birth to live babies.
Right.
Yeah. Do you want to feed these guys? These guys are hanging out for a feed. They always make out they're hungry.
Well, we could do that.
Yeah, we could do that.
Had to talk me through it though.
Oh, well, I'm sure we can do that.
I've never had much to do with fish before.
Haven't you? Oh,
Some
well,
of them
you're
are
in the right
tiny.
place today, Mel. You're all right. We've got 3 different types of sort of foods that are common with us today. Flake food, which is what a lot of people are aware of as sort of food. We've got something for those little guys and scavengers that live down the bottom, and something all fish love, bloodworms or fish chocolate. She's screwing her face up already. Yuck.
Fish chocolate, it sounds horrid.
It does sound a bit horrid, well, for us at least, because it's worms. But they'll go crazy on this stuff. Watch them. They all know that it's feed time. They all know.
So how often a day would you feed fish like this in a tank?
Fish, average aquarium, you would feed sort of a dry feed of your bottom feeding food and your flakes in the morning, and normally as a supplementary feed, when you're at home and you have the aquarium light on, you want to sit down after work and relax and enjoy your fish. That's when you give them the fish chocolate, put them on a feeding frenzy, wake them all up and enjoy your fish. If you put your hand in there and grab a couple of those wee tablets, and give these wee guys, those wee stripy guys, some of that food, because that's going to sink. Yeah, that one there, it's going to sink down the bottom.
That's not too many.
No, not for how many's in there. I was watching you so you didn't overfeed them and harm my fish. And see how that sinks to the bottom?
Right.
And that's going to get to the bottom fish feeding down the bottom, so there's actually food on their layer. Now we've teased the other fish, we better give them something to eat as well.
So is there movement in the tanks all day?
Yeah.
Do they ever just pipe down and stop?
They rest, they do sleep, they don't sort of lie on their side and sleep like we do, but they do have rest times, and that's why it's important that the aquarium's not lit up 24/7.
Right.
Because if it's bright all day, they're like, yay, it's time to swim, it's time to, but they don't have rest time, and that can make a fish ill also.
Right.
And we'll just sprinkle some of the little flakes in there, and then see all those guys have a wee feeding frenzy as well.
I see you've got different things on the bottom here, like this little pineapple house, which is interesting.
Yeah.
How important is it for there to be things in the tanks?
Oh, it's really important for there to be ornaments, rocks, caves or plants in an aquarium. It gives them shelter, security and hiding places. Some species are more shy than others. They like to hide, they need to hide. Other fish, if you've got a bully, they want to get away from them. Or if even like before, like we said, you might have a fish that's carrying babies. She might want some time to herself, so she needs somewhere to go that's quiet and in her own time.
How long do they carry babies for?
Depending on the individual species, depends on how long they're pregnant for.
Right.
Yeah. And the tropical species of fish, your guppies, platies, mollies and swords are your live bearer fish. Most other species of fish are egg layers where they lay eggs.
Right.
Yeah.
A rough idea? Like you said, they all vary, but roughly how long?
Most of your, like, so your mollies and platies and stuff, are usually in around the 4 sort of weeks.
Right.
Yeah. And
Not
they'll just
too
keep
bad.
going. Yeah. And they're
Right.
really intelligent fish because they can get pregnant 3 times. They hold the semen for when the conditions are right. They don't need a man in their tank. They've got it sussed.
Oh, fascinating.
It is indeed. Well, anyway, do you want to get down to some cleaning? Show you how this stuff really works. We've fed the fish, we've had the fun
Yeah,
bit.
we could do that.
We could do some cleaning. Well, we're going to need that. We're going to need this. We're going to need a few different bits and pieces to do some cleaning here today,
Gee.
Mel. We've got hoses and we've got,
So we're actually going to clean out a tank.
Yeah, we're going to clean out a tank.
Oh, okay.
She sounds so excited
Which
about
one?
that idea.
Which tank are we talking?
Well, we might clean out this aquarium here with our neons today.
I like these wee ones.
Yeah, I know you like. You pointed those guys out before. We'll leave
They've got
that
lightning
scrubber
in
for
them.
later
Okay.
because we're going to clean out the goldfish shortly too.
So this is that
This
hose
is-
you showed me before.
This is the gravel vacuum or tank. Comes under all sorts of different names, but it's a wee cylinder that you basically put into your, submerge into your water. And
Look at this
gonna-
big
yeah,
fella.
that's a male Siamese fighting fish.
Right.
I'm going to assist myself here so I don't flood the floor with this funny little contraption. If I use it up the right way, it might even help. That's going to hold the hose on the bucket. And instead
Okay.
of sucking on the hose and getting a mouthful of fish water, we use this here. So that's all done. But watch this.
Gee, that's
It's quick.
clever, isn't it?
But see all that gunk and dirt coming from the bottom of the tank? You know how I said before not to
Yeah.
scoop the water from the surface, or you had to do efficient water changes? This is how you do it. Because see all that toilet business and food and all the gunk from the
Right.
bottom of the aquarium? That's where all the toxins are that build up to deadly sort of levels for fish. That's where all the toxins like ammonia and nitrate and deadly things are. So you need to get in and clean those out. And you can see the fish are pretty clever. They're moving away
Yeah.
from the contraption. I am watching that I don't suck any up into my cleaning bucket.
Because that
of
would be
course.
quite easy to do, wouldn't it?
Very easy with the smaller species of fish, but it's just you getting comfortable with the routine and the fish getting comfortable with the routine that it's not a problem.
What
so
do
that's
you do?
as easy as that.
Wow, look how dirty the
And
water
look how
is.
dirty that water is.
Really-
And yet, it looks so clean in there before, so it's really important that you do keep up with good maintenance in your aquarium.
If you do suck them out, it's all right to put them straight back
Use a
in?
bucket and that net that we had before and scoop them back out quickly and put them back into their tank. Hopefully they haven't been too stressed by the ordeal.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, stress is a big killer of fish.
Right.
People sort of, stress them out by tapping on the tank, slamming doors, all sorts of other things in the environment that can cause stress. And stress for anything is a big killer or a big sort of contributing factor to illness. And pointers for illness, a lot of people go, well, how do I know my fish is sick? Normally it's active and moving about the tank. It's either sitting down the bottom and it's sulking and looking miserable, or it's sitting at the surface with its mouth sort of gasping.
Yeah, why you just do see fish do that?
That's
Why is
usually a
that?
source of not enough oxygen within the environment, so they're suffocating and they're like gasping for air, poor little things. Or they're sitting down the bottom and all their fins are clamped and they're not happy and they're sort of like hunched because either the ammonias or nitrates are built up in the tank that are deadly, that can cause illnesses. Or there's other things in your aquarium going wrong. The important thing, if you notice any of those signs, is grab a sample of water from your tank and maybe even one of the fish that's ill, scoop it out with a net and take it into your pet store, and they'll be able to do water tests, pH tests, ammonia or some other tests, and be able to assist you to getting the fish some medication and getting them healthy and happy so you don't lose your fish.
Right. Because it'd be easy to know there's something wrong but not know what exactly the problem is.
Very
wouldn't
easy,
it?
especially for beginners who have never had fish before. You might have a disease such as white spot or fungus or whatever and not know what it is. But it's important that if you think something's not normal or you've never noticed it before, to get it checked out.
Right.
Because fish diseases will spread quickly, and once it gets to a certain stage, it just gets more and more severe. It gets to a second and third degree stage very quickly and can take fish out very quickly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you can actually put fish medication in the tanks?
Oh yes, there's antibiotics, medications, and there's various different types of antibiotics and medications according to the individual species, because some species can't use certain medications. And also there's different things according to different diseases, because just you and I, like colds or a flu, different things are more persistent, and you need different bacterial sort of killing off sort of factors with your antibiotic. Same with fish medications.
Right.
Yeah.
Normally they all get sick at the same time, or can they sometimes just...
Sometimes you may notice it only with one species when you're keeping a variety of fish, and then it
Right.
starts to affect the others. But if you notice any abnormal signs or signs that you've never noticed before, it's best to check it out. Even if you just ring and ask if that's normal behaviour for a fish. Don't feel like you're pestering the pet store. I mean, that's what our staff here at SRO Pets do all the time. We're answering phone calls, and it's better to be safe than sorry, because these are your babies. A lot of people, this is their babies, and it's best to make sure that they're healthy.
True.
Do you want to do some other scrubbing? Get nice and wet. Roll your sleeves up. Come on.
Are you sure about this?
I'm sure. I've still got my arms. I do it
Okay.
every day.
Okay,
Rightio. You're going to need that one.
right.
We're going to go over this way now.
Okay.
We're going to work with the goldfish this time.
Oh,
Cold water. Aren't
I really like
nice?
these ones.
I made it cold water for you. Okay, what we're going to do is your long arm scrubber. You're just going to
Okay.
go to the back wall and see the algae growth there, and just
Right.
give it a wee gentle scrub on the back wall and get some of that algae off. So you're doing some fish maintenance. Just mind your head there.
This isn't going to distress them
It's
too
not going to,
much?
don't vigorously stir it around too much that you shake the water, but just give it a nice firm rub, and you're going to be doing some cleaning in the aquarium. See how it's come up all lovely
Yeah.
and clean and their housework's being done? Look at that.
How
Feel
often-
proud you've done the fish's maintenance and housework for the day.
How often would you do this?
Well, algae can grow quite quickly, so you may need to scrub the walls twice a week just to sort of keep the environment nice and clean. And from there, yeah, it's just sort of maintaining a filter on that. And then you can have some fun with this one now. See how there's some algae on the front wall? I left it just for you. Can you see it? Grab your special magnetic cleaner and give it a whirl like that. So there's all sorts of things to assist with maintenance and cleaning the tank. So you can just rub that around the front wall and clean it up.
You've got everything that opens and shuts.
Oh,
haven't you?
definitely. You've got everything to keep all your children happy here. Yeah.
So these are goldfish, just...
These are goldfish. These are not heated. The fish we were looking at before, our mollies and stuff that we're feeding, our neons that we did a water change on, they're all tropical fish. They're the ones that all have that heater thermostat. Remember, that keeps the temperature nice and warm? Goldfish are just room temperature fish. They're in cold water, but not icy cold tap
Right.
water. Remember I said earlier not to do a change and make it too cold? These guys usually in the average room, like lounge, bedroom, hallway, normally sit about 15, 18 degrees. You'll notice all our aquariums also have thermometers in them, so that when we do water changes, we get the temperature right. So we don't want to make the fish sick.
Are they easier to look after, the goldfish?
Goldfish are no easier than tropicals, just you're working with cold water and opposed to a controlled temperature water. I noticed you loved the look of these guys over here before.
These ones
Your
I
Nemos
did.
and stuff, yeah. They're different again. They're tropical marine water, which is heated salt water. But we might top that another day, because I think you've got all sorts of other things to sort of catch up with today as well, Mal. But these tropical marines are gorgeous. And I hope you've learnt heaps today. You got any other questions or anything, or?
I've learned a lot about fish today, actually.
Yeah? Cool.
There's a lot to know, isn't there?
There
But
is.
I think I'll leave you to scrub the rest of the tanks.
Oh, you know, fun.
Thank you for your time though, Carolyn. It was really good. You've been watching the Certificate in Basic Animal Care Science. We've had a ball down here learning all sorts of interesting fish facts. Join us next week when we're looking at horses. Yeehaw! We'll see you then.